this is about the health, safety, and well-being of the Occupy Denver protesters, as well as the people of our city and state, as they are, enjoying the area of downtown around Lincoln Park. So I think it's very important that we understand that the balance is about their safety, their well-being, but also about the consistent application of the law that the city of Denver, as well as the state of Colorado, owe it to everyone to make sure we do every day. And secondly, I just want to make it very clear that my administration has been in constant communication, even meeting with the governor's staff about this, and I don't want anyone to mistake that we're on the same page. That we are here as a city to support the governor and the state in the application of the laws of not allowing camping and guarding against or guarding and promoting the health, safety, and well-being, again, of the protesters and those that are in the park. So I'm here. I agree with what the governor has said. I agree with what the attorney general has said. And we are really asking the protesters to abide by the law and to vacate the park outside of the hours that are permissible under the law.
What happens at 11 o'clock tonight, gentlemen?
I'll follow you.
Our focus here is to begin to try to drive home to protest group that we can't let this keep going on. We're not going to go out and describe specifics of 1 hour to another hour, but our fervent hope is that they will recognize this is untenable, that we can't condone it, and that they will voluntarily, come back every day, do their protest, but not stay overnight.
But if they stay, there won't be police action to move them out? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
I think it's also important to know, you asked the question, and we knew that at some point you'd ask the question. The reality is that we have options. You're asking for the protest. We've been very accommodating. We've worked with them. We've met with them. When they wanted to march down 16th Street Mall, we allowed them to peaceably march down 16th Street Mall. They've camped out here with the state and the city, trying to work with a peaceful disbursement of the people. And so we will continue to try and work, and this is the purpose of this press conference, is to figure out the middle ground and make I think the right request is to abide by the law, work with us, we'll continue to work with you, but it is about health, safety, and well-being. And we're not attempting to do anything that will put anyone in danger. We want to continue to work with the protesters.
You said you have options. What are those options besides working with them?
I'm not sure it's prudent for us to go into all the options, but the reality is that the city and state will do what we can to keep the protesters safe and to make sure that we apply the law.
What is the deadline?
The State Patrol and the Denver Police Department are examining options as we speak. Is that a fair statement to say? The State Patrol, who's responsible for the enforcement on state lands, and the Denver Police Department, this is in the city and county of Denver, examining options as we speak, and hopefully they'll vacate and we won't have to utilize the options that they're developing.
Do you have any reason to believe they will vacate? The things that they tell us is they're not going anywhere.
I'm sorry you didn't act when the first tent went up. I mean, we sort of all knew that this was going to grow.
Hindsight is always 20/20. Looking back on it, would they have left peacefully with all that's going on in New York? Would they have come back the next day? I don't know. That's conjecture. It's not. I'm not sure it's constructive at this point. We are where we are. If we had gone there when there was just one tent, there were actually two tents the first day, it might have turned out differently. I think there's a legitimate argument that maybe we should have acted more radically or more rapidly. We are where we are.
Governor, if we could talk real quick just about what they're trying to get across. We took some paper and some Sharpies down there, and they wrote down on a piece of paper what the most important message from this movement is. We've got morality, we've got accountability for corporate citizens, we've got corporate tyranny must stop, we've got First Amendment rights, we've got get big money out of our government. Are those messages getting across
Well, I think transparency, accountability, morality, I mean, that's what we all believe in. That's why, you know, I used to have a pretty good life running restaurants, right? I can remember not so long ago, I used to have 12 weeks of vacation, right? And get paid much, much more than I get paid now. I don't think there's certainly money in politics now, but Colorado, I mean, no one, when I ran for governor, no one could give me more than $1,050, right? No business could give me anything. I mean, we're, relatively speaking, a pretty clean state. I think they're more concerned about the big money in Washington and the morality of Wall Street, which don't necessarily transfer directly to Colorado. That doesn't diminish their frustration. Listen, first, we've got 25,000 people in the state who've been out of work for more than 2 years, right? I mean, there are complex causes for that, but that creates a level of, these are people that have been trying to find work. Many of them have had careers for a lifetime. Now they can't find work. That creates a level of frustration that's significant. We've got homeless. I talked to, when I was down there this morning, a number of homeless vets, right, who are out there on the streets. They risk their lives in defense of this country, and now they don't have a home. Those are issues that we're, certainly while I was mayor and now as governor, we're going to continue to work on and continue to try and bring transparency and accountability to government and try to find solutions as efficiently, at the lowest cost we can, but really actually address the problems.
Do you know what they're protesting at all? I mean,
well, they told us roughly the same things you have, right? That they are outraged by government inaction, that what they feel is that the government has let them down, and that Wall Street and the big corporate banks and trading companies have run roughshod over the federal government. You know, we hear that. I can't control that. One thing I can control, though, is making sure that we have, you know, a better school system so our kids can get better jobs. One thing I don't control, actually, I should be careful. I have a voice. But whether we have affordable housing, whether our business community is willing to reach out and do the additional training when someone's been unemployed for a couple of years or on the streets for 6 months or longer. Oftentimes they need counseling, they've got some drug addictions. We are committed to trying to find the resources, not raising taxes, just so you guys don't all get carried away, but find the resources that we can get more housing and get more homeless people into jobs.
Governor, there is a U.S. Naval Reserve event scheduled for that park on Saturday as you're going home.
Right.
Are you going to take action before Saturday, or are you going to seek some situation by which both of these events, the Naval Reserve event and the Occupy Denver event, can occur there simultaneously?
Well, the Attorney General has the details of the rules, but the way the rules and therefore the laws protecting how that park operates, it's one event at a time, one event per day, is what the rules say. All right?
Right. And so what does that mean then? Do you reschedule the Naval Reserve event?
You're asking, all I'm saying is the Naval Reserve folks have lawfully applied for a permit, lawfully received a permit, and have an expectation at this point in time that they have an exclusive event in the Veterans Park in Lincoln Park. That's their expectation. We'll see what develops between now and then.
So we're not planning to kick them out?
We would certainly talk to the protesters, the demonstrators, and told them about this conflict, and they want to talk to the Naval Reserve and call them up, and they can have that discussion. That doesn't change the fact that we have a situation where we have health and safety risks that are untenable, right? That we've got to resolve.
Governor, there's been a lot of critique that if this group were, for example, the KKK or the American Nazis, and they were camping out, that this wouldn't have dragged on for this long. Do you think that's the case?
I mean, that's speculative. I don't think that's fair criticism, but we have no data. I think if they are not harming people, they're not destroying public property, my first instinct would be always to try to engage them and convince them voluntarily to leave. I mean, the consequences, you know, we live in a litigious time, and when you forcibly move people from one place to another, arrest them, all this stuff, you end up oftentimes, not saying you would this time, but oftentimes with lawsuits, right? And those lawsuits can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, if not done exactly right. Even if you think you've done everything perfectly, could end up. I think the DNC, we probably spent how many months talking to the top lawyers and training all of our public safety teams that we had there, and yet still we were sued again and again and again. I know that it was in thousands of dollars, but finally there was insurance policies that didn't come out of the city or the state's pocket, but there were claim settlements that were, you know, more than $100,000.
Is there an agreed upon deadline between the three of you who seem to be on the same page when you will say, we're only giving them this long and this is the point where we'll go in and enforce the law?
No, I think that kind of negotiation commission is probably best kept between us.
There's a meeting of the minds, let me say that.
I wonder if you might speak to what is the relevant law at issue and whose responsibility is it to prosecute?
What we're talking about is a violation of CRS 18-9-117, unlawful conduct on public property. And basically, it talks about unlawful for any person to enter or remain in any public building or on public property in violation of rules, regulations, and the following matters. And then there's a whole variety of categories, including camping, picnicking, public meetings and assemblages, talks about sanitation, health, safety measures, and all that sort of thing. And so the rules and regulations that have been promulgated by the Department of Personnel Administration that are very specific about that part are incorporated into that statute. So that would be the state statute involved. There could be a municipal ordinance involved also. If any charges are levied, the jurisdiction would be whether it's a state or city violation. Actually, city violation would be the Denver City Attorney's Office. A state violation would be the Denver District Attorney's Office, would be the prosecuting agency.
Hey, Alicia, I have copies of the document that the Attorney General's looking at that I can hand out when we're done. We have about 5 minutes left.
Are you preparing for a mass arrest with the DNC? You have
Give him that mic.
prosecution, jail setup, things like that. And then
You take that one. Yeah.
I don't think that's something that we want to cover.
Mayor Hancock, can you talk a little bit, obviously, you're sitting now, you're in charge of it. If this escalates,
Yes, you need that.
can you talk about the pressures that you're thinking about in terms of wanting this to resolve peacefully, and also, I don't know if you've been out like the governor has, talking to some of these folks, and if you have any sympathy yourself for their cause. Maybe just talk a little bit more about your personal feelings on this.
I have not been over to talk to the protesters as the governor has, and I can tell you that, again, the balance is about health, safety, and welfare. I have followed this situation from across the country and watched how some cities have tried to respond to it. Initially, I expected that it would just be a few days and it would fizzle. But then you also have to think about, as it continued to prolong, is two things. One is the health, safety, and well-being of the protesters and the importance of sanitation over in the park. And then secondly, what kind of precedents are you allowing? Our goal and our responsibility is always to have a consistent application of the law, regardless of who it is. And the longer we allow it to go on, I think the more difficult it becomes to extract or to disperse the settlement. You talk about pressures. Obviously, we think about
AFL-CIO! We need you to join with us to defend the rally. We need you to join with us to defend the rally. Against Governor Hickenlooper and the forces of repression. Against Governor Hickenlooper and the forces of repression. He's trying to evict the protesters. Come show your support tonight, our governor. Come march on Saturday. Big march on Saturday. Well, there's a whole lot of misconceptions being broadcast that may not want to run this. Let me run over a few of them. There is no significant safety issue here or issue of sanitation. This group cleans up after itself. It polices itself. The governor is misrepresenting things. He is a very poor observer of what's going on directly in front of his office. That's right. That's the only time we've seen him. I was not here, but I know what he has done and what he said. He was saying there were 8 to 10 tents out here when there were 40. The governor, there is no sanitation problem. The city is trying to create a sanitation problem by denying us the right to bring in port limits to take care of people. And so people are forced to use RTD or pee on bushes. And still, the park is in pretty damn good shape considering how many people are involved. As far as leaving, the governor can't figure out his right hand from his left. And in the 21st century, if the state of Colorado can figure out how to charge people it thinks are committing crimes within the city of Denver, I'm sure they'll eventually let us know about it. But in the meantime, right? No, I know what they said. But I was there when Corey Donahue pitched the first tent, and Sergeant Dominguez told him that the tent could not stay and would have to be removed. Corey Donahue said, "I will not remove this tent." And the sergeant spluttered for a moment, said that he was coming back and that they were going to remove the tents, and that was 5-6 days ago. And now there are.
What do you think is going to happen?
There will be a confrontation. Some people will be arrested because they are unwilling to give up this occupation. I'm not one of them, but I stand with them and stand with the expression of their outrage.
You know that some of these people are not going to leave on their own.
I am certain that is the case.